better protect you and the public from the swine flu and other dangerous diseases, we have now mandated that every citizen receive the Verichip RFID implant. This implant will alert us if any virus or strain is present in your system so that we can assist you as soon as possible and better help contain any outbreaks. If you go to the hospital and cannot speak for some reason, we'll be able to immediately pull up your medical dossier and fix you right up. The implant will also confirm that you've taken all necessary vaccines required to protect and assure your survival. While we are not completely sure any of these vaccines even work, or what other side effects they'll cause, it's still better than doing nothing, right? Plus, some lobbyist friends of ours recently completed testing on what seems like a very promising flu vaccine that might work on swine flu,
and only seems to make 10% of those who take it puke for a day or two.
So we've got to make sure we scare you as much as possible into getting your RFID tagged vaccines. Not really a big deal to ensure everyone's safety, right? For those of you who decide not to accept the implant, realize that you are potentially contributing to viral terrorism by helping spread a pandemic that we cannot immediately trace.
Wow.
You may also be detained at any time if we believe you may somehow have been infected. Regarding taxes, we don't need to tax you an extra dime to bilk you for nearly 15% more in taxes with the help of inflation and the alternate minimum tax. By 2010, about 30% of taxpayers earning over $500,000 will pay the AMT. By comparison, about 2/3 of super wealthy taxpayers with incomes between $50,000 and $100,000,
and over 90% of taxpayers making over $100,000, covering just about every middle-income family,
will have a huge additional AMT liability in 2010. Yeehaw! More money for us to give away to all our friends in useless programs that you need for us to better protect you. So you see, we don't need to raise taxes at all to bilk the middle class even more. We just have to let the AMT do its work, which now extracts more tax revenues from the middle class than does the entire normal income tax. And even if we did want to make it more fair, our accountant lobbyist friends would be against it. So don't expect to see that fixed anytime soon. If we're not finding creative ways to tax you more, we're finding creative ways for you to spend more through plans such as our healthcare and energy initiatives. You know, for your protection and the Earth's protection and your children's protection, just like we protected you from the likes of Bernie Madoff. You have a problem with that?
Not.
Also, partial tax amnesty for tax evaders and enemies of the state who have treasonously tried to protect some of their wealth overseas is coming to an end. If we don't know about it, you're a tax evader, even if it's based on income that has already been taxed.
Ironically, in reverse, the United States is actually the ultimate tax haven to the rest of the world, but we don't allow the media to cover that because it helps our banks with additional capital to throw into our economy and lever up to 40-to-1 leverage. Foreigners pay almost no taxes in the US, and in states such as Nevada or Delaware, it's almost impossible to find out the true beneficial owners of a company.
Next, we'll make you declare the money you hide under your pillow, too. Only politicians should be allowed to evade taxes, especially those who seek to raise them, such as Democratic Rep. Charles Rangel, chairman of the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee. Another good friend of ours, Tax Cheat Democrat Rep. Tom Daschle once said, "Make no mistake, tax cheaters cheat us all, and the IRS should enforce our laws to the letter."
Amuse me, wretches.
Do as I say, not as I do, peasant citizens. Regarding Wall Street, it's back to business as usual with our bankster friends at Goldman Sachs acting as the world's largest speculator at the public's expense.
So much for curbing the evil speculators. Guess that meant only those small politically unconnected speculators.
And of course, we've still managed not to hand down any major indictments for any of our friends who helped cause the credit crisis.
I.e. the entire board of AIG?
In fact, many of our top bad actor friends are working as advisors in the Obama administration. How's that for punishment? But of course, there was no way for anyone to predict the ramifications of allowing our most widely politically and financially connected institutions to use leverage in excess of 40 to 1.
Even though every major crisis throughout history was usually based on excessive use of leverage.
But the SEC did do something. It sought to protect us all by enforcing the useless and money-sucking Sarbanes-Oxley rules for inconsequential non-financial companies. It also passed the pattern day trading rules, limiting trading activity and use of leverage for anyone trading in an account funded with under $25,000. If you wanted to speculate using heavy leverage, take that $10K to the bank and buy $1 million home, no money down.
Wow.
Then you have Bank of America lying to its shareholders that it wouldn't pay Merrill executives any bonuses while going on to pay them $3.6 billion. As punishment, the SEC and the Bank of America board agreed to a $33 million settlement.
Again, at the shareholders' expense. Talk about victimizing the victims.
But hey, no one gets away with fraud without letting the SEC get in on the action. Right, Mr. Madoff?
Oh, and by the way, Ms. Pelosi, a Nazi stands for National Socialist. That's what you want for all of us, isn't it? So why would you insult your own ilk when people disagree with your global agenda? And as to Mr. Bernanke stating that the worst is behind us and the recession is over, it's always nice to have a vote of confidence from someone who's been 100% wrong up to this point. However, one rather scary point to note is that with each recent run in the market, all the naysayers and pundits were saying that this has got to be the top on the way back down to the March lows. Oddly enough, this month, we're hearing these same people talk about the recession being over and how soon we may again have Dow 14,000 back in our sights. While I don't believe Dow 10,500 would be out of the question, a 50% retracement from the Dow's move off its 2007 high, unless hyperinflation is ready to kick in, I think it's unlikely we'll see the Dow move all that much higher anytime soon. And remember that many of the largest banks still have not been forced to fully realize and properly price the losses they're carrying. Just a little food for thought. Well, we're off now to a little vacation in Mexico. Some of our lobbyist friends let us borrow their private jet and beachfront villa for the week if we agreed to promote their agendas.
So, ask Viva.